I'm sure at this point many of you have heard about what is being called the Great American Eclipse of 2017. It's going to occur on August 21st. All of North America will be able to see it, and anybody that is in the path of totality will be able to see a full, legitimate eclipse. Everybody that's not in this path of totality will still be able to see a partial eclipse, though. And the path of totality goes all the way from Salem, Oregon to Charleston, South Carolina. But again, anybody that's outside of this path will still be able to see an eclipse. The last time it occurred was roughly 1918, a century ago, basically. The reason I bring this up is because I am lucky enough to actually be in the path of totality. I don't live very far from Kansas City, which is already very close. There's a small town named Carrollton, just a short drive from me, that is right in this path of totality. It's a perfect location for viewing it. The town is getting tons of publicity about it. They're actually doing a little festival around it because so many people near here are driving to this town because its location is so perfectly situated to view the eclipse. In the town of Carrollton, it'll last about 2.5 minutes from viewing it there, and it'll start at around 1:09 p.m. I am going to be there. I'll have several containers of clear, pure water to bless during the eclipse. So while the sun is covered, while the moon's shadow is darkening the day, I'll actually perform the blessing, say a short verbal rite over it, an incantation, if you will. And then later, we can all, through your comments, communications with you, brainstorming with all of you, come up with ideas and experiments for what to do with this blessed eclipse water. I'll take my cameras with me too, of course, so it'll all be recorded, and you can expect a video shortly after the eclipse showing all of that. But I'm sure all of you have heard constant talk about the eclipse and seen other videos mentioning the eclipse. So the less covered stuff I thought I'd touch on, and since it relates to the channel, I want to share some eclipse folklore. Legends, myths, what have you. So by far the most common eclipse folklore is a legend of some kind of giant animal, a demon, a monster, trying to eat the sun. Literally devour it. In Viking mythology, there's Fenrir the wolf that will, they say, when Ragnarok comes, succeed in devouring the sun. For those not familiar, Ragnarok is a sort of earth-shaking, planet-changing battle between gods and monsters, and it'll result in a type of rebirth for the earth, including the sun that is devoured will be reborn. In Vietnamese belief, it's like a frog or a toad, definitely an amphibian, in legend, that devours the sun. And in Hinduism, there's a myth of a demon named Rahu that explains eclipses. The story goes that this demon Rahu wanted to steal a drink of the elixir of the gods to become immortal. Anything that drinks it becomes immortal. So he plans this out, and somehow the sun and the moon, as an entity, as a deity, as in much of folklore, things, everything from a rock to a tree to the sun itself is sentient, conscious, is a being of some sort. So the sun and the moon catch on to Rahu's plan somehow, and they inform Vishnu. But Rahu still manages, regardless, to get just a slight sip into his mouth. But before he can swallow it, Vishnu beheads him. And his body falls lifeless on the ground. But because the elixir, the potion, the drink of immortality did make it into Rahu's mouth, his head is immortal. And then out of anger, spite, revenge, hatred, Rahu's head chases the sun and the moon through the sky, constantly trying to devour them, and does sometimes catch them. And when Rahu catches the sun, it's an eclipse. But because Rahu now is just an immortal head with no body, nothing to swallow into, when he swallows the sun comes out of his throat, underneath his head at his neck, and that's your eclipse. There's also a Korean legend regarding eclipses that is very similar. It tells the legend of a region in heaven that is nothing but darkness. There's no light there at all. And the ruler of this dark world, dark kingdom, wants to get light to his kingdom. So he sends these creatures, these fire dogs, I think pronounced Bulgae, originally Bulgae, which translates, I think, literally to fire dog. And these creatures are what he sends to capture the sun for some light. They do succeed in catching the sun, and they bite down, but the sun is too hot, and they have to let go. So they're sent after the moon, and the same thing happens. The moon is too cold, and they have to let go. So they never succeed in actually bringing back light to the Dark Kingdom, but the ruler keeps sending them out, they keep trying. And that's where your eclipses come from, when they actually catch the sun and try to eat it but fail, and the sun comes back again, is reborn, so to speak. I was able to find some references to cultures that actually attempted to scare away whatever they believed was attacking or eating the sun when the eclipse happened. They would make loud noises, scream, yell, chant loudly, drums, bang on things, anything they could do to make loud noises to possibly scare or intimidate away the creature that was eating the sun. And then, at the same time, there were cultures that didn't see it as a negative or a frightening event. They saw it as a natural part of the order of the world, and they appreciated the majesty of it and just considered it sort of a sacred day, but not negative in any way whatsoever. My favorite, though, there's a Greek legend that says that a war, basically, without getting specific, a war between two kingdoms had been going on for years, 4 or 5 years, and on the 5th or 6th year, there was an eclipse. At the start of the day, when a big battle was about to begin, they'd been evenly matched. This side wins a little, that side wins a little for years now. And then at the start of this battle, early in the day, when the sun is out, there's an eclipse. And both sides lay down their weapons. This one actually has a little bit of historical evidence to it, but even if it didn't happen the way that the story is told, I still consider it my favorite piece of eclipse lore. The idea of it ending a war and bringing peace to a large part of the world, or to a large number of people, I think is a pretty cool story, a pretty cool legend, regardless. And that's where I want to end this. If you're interested in some other sun-related, not necessarily eclipse-related, but related to sun deities, sun worship, Apollo, Helios, Shi in Chinese, Amaterasu. If you want to hear more stuff like that, let me know. There's still time before the eclipse, and I could do a sort of podcasty little thing where I talk about it with some friends. But yeah, if you dig this sort of thing, regardless, there will be a subscribe button in one of the corners. And if you want to talk about any of this stuff, just let me know, toss a comment below. We can talk about anything I mentioned here or anything related to what I mentioned here. Thanks. See you next time.